What's going on, everybody? Chris and Mitch here for the first annual GWIZ Game Awards. So we have a list of games here per category. Mitch is going to go into that a little bit more real quick and just explain how we have the categories set up.
So what we did was we just made a bunch of categories based on, types of games, not developers, but studios, and a few other kind of surprises, I guess, in there. It's mostly games that we knew well, so you aren't going to be getting some of the more oddball answers out there. So they're pretty mainstream because we didn't really know all of the little games.
And as a slight preface, these are our own personal opinions about each game of what we believe are the best per category, not what the world thinks.
Yeah, these are me and Chris's opinion.
So please do not hate us for our opinion.
It may stink.
Yeah. So first off, we have the RPG category, the role-playing category, role-playing games. And we have 6 games to choose from. We have Persona 5, Divinity 2, Shadow of War, South Park, The Fractured Butthole, Legend of Zelda, and Horizon Zero Dawn. Mitchell, what game did you choose?
Well, from that list, my favorite of the RPGs was Persona 5.
Explain.
The art style and music was really interesting, for starters. I'd never actually played a Persona game before that, so I was kind of interested. I wasn't sure how to feel going into it, but I'm really glad I played because I love turn-based games, and it's a turn-based game, and it was a lot of fun.
All right.
Still need to finish it.
Yeah. Ideally, that will be coming to the channel soon, later this year.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully. We'll see how that goes. And for me personally, out of those, I had to choose South Park, The Fractured Butthole. It was just a hilarious game to play. Watching you play, actually. You played it for the channel, record it, go check it out. If you haven't watched the videos already, be warned, it is adult-friendly. Not
Mature.
Mature. There we go. We'll say mature there. It was just hilarious to watch. I enjoyed the content and the RPG style of it, of creating your own character, becoming a superhero. Like, who doesn't want to be a superhero growing up?
Right.
So, yeah.
I was always a weird superhero growing up, though. Because I was like, I want to be Toad from X-Men. And everybody's like, what?
Who's Toad?
It's like, everybody was like, why would you want to be Toad? I'm like, I don't know. I thought he was cool.
That's great, Mitch. I actually never knew that.
Yeah.
I remember when X-Men First Class came out and Toad was there.
Yeah.
Was that the second one?
It was the second one.
Okay.
But yeah, I was pretty hyped. I was like, he's in it. And then he was like such a small screen.
But it was the principle that he was included.
Anyways, we're getting off track.
Next, we have the sports/racing category. Sports games
No. It's sports and fighting, actually.
Oh, wow. Fighting. Sorry. Sports/fighting category. Mitchell miswrote there in our list. So sports games like NBA and Madden, as well as fighting games such as Marvel vs. Capcom and Injustice, and we also have FIFA in there.
So what we got is, I kind of abbreviated on the list, so I'll just read it off because I know what it all is. So I got Injustice 2, Madden 18, NBA 2K18, FIFA 18, and Marvel vs. Capcom. So.
Alright.
What?
This kind of piggybacks off of South Park, but I chose Injustice 2. Being able to play the superhero. Yes, I know Marvel vs. Capcom, you can play as superheroes again, and I'm more of a Marvel fan. So going into this, I was like, I'm definitely going to choose Marvel vs. Capcom. But Injustice 2 is just a better game, in my opinion, out of the two. As well as, a lot of the characters are hitting home to me, like the Flash, Green Arrow, and stuff, because I love the TV shows. So it's kind of not nostalgic per se, but fun to watch and play.
Well, I also chose Injustice 2. And it kind of contradicts from what I said earlier because I was just talking about X-Men, but growing up, I was a massive DC fan. I loved watching, the Batman animated series, the Superman animated series, the Justice League. Just those shows were fantastic for me. And so, I'm always DC over Marvel, except when it comes to the movies, because that's just we're not going to get into
no brainer there.
Yeah, we're not going to get into it right now.
That's a different video for another day there. All right, next we have the racing category. Now this is one of the lower end categories of the games we had to choose from. We have Project Cars 2, Forza Motorsport 7, and GT Sport. Me personally, is the only one that I knew anything about. I was very not knowledgeable about this category, so I had to choose Forza 7. I have played a lot of Forza Horizon 3, where it was just a fun game to play, all the mechanics and the realistic properties of said game, which is why one of the reasons I chose Forza 7.
So, again, I also chose Forza 7. And my reasoning behind it is, I enjoy the Forza series for what it is. And I know GT Sport's kind of the same thing, but for PlayStation, whereas Forza's for Xbox. I don't really know much about Project Cars 2. I kind of put it on the list because I needed something to fill it out, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, that was one of the rough categories. So.
Yeah, it's a smaller category. We didn't have as many things for it. We tried to get 5 contenders, I guess, per category, but some of them we couldn't fill it out completely with games that we thought were deserving.
Yeah.
All right, the next category is going to be the open worlds games. And the nominees for that are Legend of Zelda, Assassin's Creed Origins, Shadow of War, and Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, I chose for this Horizon Zero Dawn. I think that it was such a good game. And, it's such a varied open world, too, because you got, snow up top, you got deserty areas, you got rainforest, you got mountains and forest area. It was great. The combat was fantastic. And you look at it, people look at it and they're like, it's nothing new gameplay wise, but the way that they implemented it all, it was so much better than most of the games that have all of that gameplay stuff in it as well. So that's why it's my favorite of the open world games.
Interesting. Alright, so for me personally, I chose Assassin's Creed Origins. Assassin's Creed is one of the games that has been fun through the years. As they progress and give you new worlds to travel in, basically, or new time eras, but also including the same styles as well as increasing a little bit. And I enjoy Egyptian mythology, so putting it into that time era of being an assassin within that era was just something intriguing to me, and I enjoyed the game style of said game.
All right. Moving on to the next 3 categories, actually, we're going to take a little switch from how we have been doing it, because this is going to be our best Nintendo game, best Sony game, and best Microsoft game. So exclusive to their consoles or their console and PC, because some of them, were like that. So we're going to start off with Nintendo, and what we have is Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and Splatoon 2. For this, I chose Legend of Zelda. I'm not much of a Nintendo person, if you haven't, heard by now. So I don't play much of their games. But I feel like if there was one of their games I was going to play, it would have been Legend of Zelda. Because I enjoy RPGs, I enjoy open world games, I enjoy, that style. So that's why I chose it.
And as for me, I had to choose, despite what I have problem with this game, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Pokemon was the first game I ever got and played. I was Emerald was the first game I ever played. So this is completely nostalgic, and I enjoy every Pokemon game that's come out. I've played all of them except one generation of it. Gen 5. Black and White. Yeah, Black and White, Black and White 2. Never played that. But I'm wanting to. I have a lot of problem with Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, aka no gems. That was one of my biggest turnoffs about that game. But it was still such a fun game to play. The new Pokemon coming out and just the Alolan forms was always a classic. Taking a new adaptation of classic Pokemon from the first gen that I love to play with and use. Alright, next we have Sony. We have Neo, Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Persona 5, and Hellblade.
Sorry, I wrote down like kind of shorthand on this list,
And I don't know a lot.
and he doesn't know the full names for the games. So it's Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, and Nier Automata. So, sorry.
Go ahead. You go ahead and tell your list. Give your answer.
All right, for my favorite Sony game, again I went with Horizon. I mean, I already described it 2 categories ago as to why I loved it. Another thing to add on top of it, I thought Aloy was fantastic. I think the game looks beautiful. And what's not to love about robot dinosaurs? I'm using air quotes for dinosaurs because they aren't technically supposed to be dinosaurs, but they're dinosaurs.
And I have to agree with Mitchell on this. Horizon. Like he said, he's mentioned it so many times why it's such a great game, and I completely agree on every situation why it's such a great game. I didn't play this as much as I would like to, but it's such a great game. It also just a beautiful scenery and whatnot. I remember Mitchell got the PS4 Pro, and the first thing he did was load up in Horizon Zero Dawn and just take pictures on there, and it just looks so majestic. So that was just a nice thing to have. Now, one of the sad parts of the evening, Microsoft. There were very few games that we had heard of that were Microsoft exclusives.
It's a small list.
Yeah. So we have Cuphead, Forza 7, I'm assuming?
Yep.
And PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds for the Xbox One.
The only reason that that's added in there is because...
It'd only be 2 if not.
Yeah, there would only be 2 of them if not. Because, I'm not a big... I don't play on Xbox a lot. I'll go ahead and say that. So maybe there's more out there that I just don't know that were great games. But when I was looking up games for this, I did not see anything really. That being said, I'm going to go ahead with my pick, which was Cuphead. I think that I love the art style, like the 50s, like Popeye TV show and everything like that. The music is great, and I haven't really got a chance to play it yet. But I've heard that it is super difficult, and I really want to try it. So,
to piggyback off that, I also chose Cuphead, and it was for the same reasoning of, A, we didn't have much to choose from there, but like I said, the art style is amazing, and despite how it looks, it's such a difficult game to beat. Like, going into the game, you'd never expect it to be as difficult as it actually is. So it's nice to know there's still challenging games out there and whatnot. So it makes it fun.
All right. So the next category is going to be the action-adventure games category. And the choices for this are Neo, Nier Automata, Assassin's Creed Origins, Wolfenstein 2, and Legend of Zelda. I went with Assassin's Creed Origins for this one. I really liked how that, because they added the whole system with being able to change your weapons and like what you wear and everything, the equipment system, it made the actual fighting inside the game more varied, and I really liked that. It almost felt it was fresh and refreshing. I said the same thing twice. It was refreshing for an Assassin's Creed game, honestly.
I also chose Assassin's Creed. Like I said, I mentioned earlier why I love the game in general, and it kind of just the same reasoning behind that one as well. So like I said, it was just a fun game. I enjoyed playing it or watching gameplay of it. So it's just a classic nostalgia game, and that's why I chose it for the best action adventure game.
So right here in the middle of the video, well, it may not be the actual middle, I don't know. We're going to take a little break from describing, amazing games and fantastic things that happened this year to talk about one streak on the underside of the gaming industry that is EA and what they did this year. And I'm not just talking about Battlefront 2, because that was terrible game model there with how they wanted to do that, but also with how they rushed BioWare Montreal to put out Mass Effect Andromeda, because I loved the Mass Effect series, and that hurt, And also with them closing Visceral Games, which I was really looking forward to that game. That was going to become the Star Wars game that they were making. That one little clip that you saw the guy walking outside the door on the desert planet, I was like, man, that looked amazing. And it's just, yeah. EA, I don't understand you. That's it.
You're ruining all the games.
Games are not a service. That's all I gotta say.
Stop gambling, 2017.
All right.
Next, on a more brighter note, we have shooters. We have the following games: Prey, Destiny 2, Cuphead, Wolfenstein, and Call of Duty World War II. Mitchell?
So when we were making this list, we were kind of like wondering if Cuphead technically qualified as a shooter. Because you look at it and it's like they're shooting, they're running, they're shooting, but it's kind of a platformer. But in the end, we decided to go ahead and put it on the list just to kind of fill it out. But I'm going to actually go ahead and go with Wolfenstein 2, mainly because it's the only one on the list that really proves, I personally feel, that proves that, single player, action orientated shooters are not dead. Plenty of story, single player, and great gameplay. And I love that, that it's not dead yet. So that's why.
And for me, I had to choose Destiny 2. Despite the controversy and how bad their DLC that just came out was, the main story of the game was quite enjoyable, as well as an interesting, futuristic dynamic of the said game, genre. Destiny 1 was fun, and it was more of a carryover of that game, which made it enjoyable. And just the different ways the game is set up is always enjoyable, with the raids and the things like that. Alright, next we have games that came out in Japan, or were created in Japan.
Yeah, games that were made in Japan. So this is kind of we were going through the creating categories, and we were just kind of like, there's a lot of games here that are from Japanese studios. So we were just kind of like, well, let's just do a list. Well, let's just do a thing for what we believe was the best game coming out of Japan. And so the nominees for that one are Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Odyssey, Resident Evil 7, Neo, Nier Automata, Persona 5, and The Evil Within 2. I went ahead and went with Persona 5 for this one. I just really enjoyed it, There's not much more to say.
Same. It was just a fun game to play. Persona 5 is what I also chose, because it's one of the games that feel Japanese, not to sound racist by any means, but that art style is distinctful to them. And I think takes place in Japan, pretty sure. You played it more than I did.
Yeah, it takes place in Japan. And it just has that like he
feel.
said, it's got the Japanese feel because you're a high school student in Japan. And it's just like... So you just get the Japanese, like, culture.
Also, may I add, the longest tutorial from what you're making it sound like when you're playing it, like 2 hours in, and still learning how to play the game.
Yeah, but you're learning how to play that game forever.
You beat the game, still trying to figure out how to play it.
All right. So the next category, we felt like action adventure didn't quite cover it enough, so we created a action by itself category. And the ones we have on there are Resident Evil 7, Prey, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and Cuphead. And my personal choice was Hellblade for that one. I thought that the game looked amazing. I love that the motion capture and voice for the main character was I think a programmer for their studio. It was just like one random woman that just worked there. I think that's amazing. They like really studied into Norse mythology for it, and they did a lot of study into like the mental illnesses to delve into the whole like schizophrenia and everything for it. I thought it was just fantastic.
So I chose Prey because, like I said, it's a big game about living the. You start the game off living the same day over and over again, and then the entire cycle just gets broken, and you end up realizing this alien race that can transform into stuff, and you have to kill them. It's just a very horror-esque game, but also a fun action game where you're trying to save the people you love while also not knowing what around you may kill you. That random chair you cross could just kill you. Alright, and we're going to move to the next category, which is early access. Pre-note here, for early access, we're classifying it as at any point throughout the year, it was early access. Because the main ones on our list are currently not on early access anymore. They finally got out of this category.
So, what we have is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on PC, specifically. Fortnite, Divinity Original Sin 2, and Ark Survival Evolved. With this one, I hadn't... There was one that I wanted to pick, but I haven't played it at all yet, so I couldn't pick it.
Divinity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I loved the first Divinity. I wanted to pick it, but I haven't played the second one, so I was just like, I can't bring myself to pick it. So what I ended up going with was Fortnite, actually, because it's fun. I enjoy, the Battle Royale stuff. I enjoy the game itself. And, just like, it has enough, they're adding things to it a lot. Hence early access. They're still adding a bunch of stuff to it. So it's, you go back 2 weeks after playing it and, there's something new, which I love. So.
Alright, and I had to choose Ark Survival Evolved. I've been watching a lot of videos about it recently, so it's kind of like fresh in my mind of how the game works. And this technically didn't come out in 2017. I think it came out in 2016.
Yeah, but it was in early access.
Yeah, it's been early access up until like a month or two ago. So it's been early access for a while. But the fact of the matter is, it came out with 3 DLC, I'm pretty sure, before it even left early access. And you spend the entire time in the alien chamber. I don't probably wrong terminology here, but you're captured by aliens and there's a bunch of dinosaurs around you, and you're just going through and surviving it. I am a big Minecraft lover and I guess sandbox survivals, and Ark is sort of in that feel, I guess you could classify it as. So it's just one of the game genres I love and just love to play. I played on PS4, trying to get a better PC so I can play it on PC more often. So it's just a fun game.
All right. Next category is going to be our multiplayer games. And the games we have there are Call of Duty World War II, Destiny 2, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and Fortnite. I went ahead with what I felt like. I'm 100% behind my answer for what I'm choosing here. But I went ahead and did Call of Duty World War II. I feel like the gameplay itself is better than the previous Call of Duty, like the last few previous Call of Duties. I hated the jumping around, the running on walls, all of that stuff from the last few ones, like the Infinite Warfare and Black Ops 3, and it was just, I just hated that stuff. So having a refreshing, coming back to, World War II, where the guns don't shoot a mile a minute, and I don't know, it's just fun, mindless fun, and I think that's what I look for in multiplayer games.
No, I do agree. I didn't choose that for myself, but to piggyback off what Mitchell was saying, it went back to what made the game fun in the first place and nostalgic. But my actual choice was Fortnite Battle Royale, to be specific on the game itself. Didn't really play much of Fortnite, the PvE version, but the Battle Royale version of the game, it was very enjoyable, and it's one of those games that I could just play for hours and hours on end, with the 50v50s, singles, duos, or squads. It's just fun to jump in with your friends and just play for fun. I'm not the best. I'm not great at all. Mitchell can vouch for that. I cannot hit the broadside of a barn in that game. But it's just fun to play, and they keep updating it constantly. I mean, that game has been updated so much since it's been released initially. Adding new weaponry, new grenades and whatnot, and now the new skins you can use. So it's very fun, and it's not a pay-to-win game. Makes it even better. Everything they add in is usually equal to everybody or cosmetic. So it's just nice to have.
So I want to go off on that a little bit. Not like go off as in like bad.
No, he's going to yell at me.
Yeah, I'm going to yell at you.
Cuss me out. Go, bitch.
No, so Fortnite, whenever it first got announced, like back in 2011, I was actually super hyped on it. Because I was like, oh, that's such a cool idea where you can build like your little fortress and you had like zombies coming at you. I was like, it's a more advanced version of the enemy system within like Minecraft at the point. And I was like, that's really cool. I like that. And then it just disappeared for like 5 years. I didn't hear anything about it until all of a sudden it just came out. And I was like, oh yeah, that game.
I remember you.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's it on there. So second to last category is going to be horror. Like horror games. Horror games. Got to make sure I say it right. Games that make you scared. There we go. And for what we have here, we have Resident Evil 7, Outlast 2, Friday the 13th, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and The Evil Within 2. Personally here, and I feel like it's the same for Chris, I chose Resident Evil 7. It was so good. Just, I had so much fun with it. And even, even like switching in and out of like the VR stuff for it, it was like the VR was a little sickening, honestly. Just like, but it was so fun. But I really enjoyed how it was getting back to the roots of what Resident Evil was, but still heading in a new direction. So Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 were a lot more action-orientated, which I wasn't a big fan of, honestly. I know people will probably murder me for saying 4 was bad, but I don't care. I don't care what you think.
Your opinions don't matter. This is our channel.
So I didn't like the action-focused Resident Evil. I enjoyed the, creeping through a hallway because a big scary man with a sledgehammer is about to come and kill me if I'm not quiet. Kind of Resident Evil, which is what you got in Resident Evil 7. But they still headed in a new direction with, the first-person mode. And I really liked it, So take all of your talking points.
Kind of, actually. I agree with Mitchell. Resident Evil 7 is the horror game. Now to the final category. Game of the year. in the GWIZ opinions.
Yeah. It is each of our personal game of the year. We didn't make a list of games for it. It's just what I believe my game of the year is and what Chris's game of the year is. What we had the most fun with, not necessarily what we believed was, the best game to come out this year. So game of the year for me was Horizon Zero Dawn. I've said it. I think it got 2 other awards from me. Let me just look at my paper. 1, 2,
3,
yeah,
4.
It's got 2 other awards: the Open World and the Sony. I just loved it a lot. There's not much else to say about it. It was great.
Pretty much talked about it as much as you can.
Exactly. I think I've run that horse into the ground.
All right, and for me, I have my actual game of the year, but then an honorable mention that goes hand in hand with it. So I'm gonna start with the honorable mention, which is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. This game created a genre that has been being added to a lot of games. I know Dying Light was talking about creating one version of it. Call of Duty World War II, or just Call of Duty in general, is doing it. It's created so many games like it. And when it's early access and selling 30 million copies or 30 million copies, I don't know the exact number. I know it's 3 something. I don't know the exact number. I probably should look it up beforehand. But it's just creating a genre like that was just looked great, played great, and was very difficult, deserved the honorable mention. But my game of the year, Mitchell could probably guess it, was Fortnite Battle Royale. I talked about it a lot during the multiplayer thing. It's like I said, I love PUBG concept-wise, and Battle Royale created it in a way I could play it. Being a PS4 game, being on every console, and giving a Sony a little stab in the back there with the crossplay they did there. It was just a fun game to play, still very difficult and very thriving to get you to win. You wanted to get that winner royale, that victory royale as they call it, which we've accomplished 5 or 6 times each probably. Couple squad wins, 50v50 doesn't count. But like I said, adding 50v50 during the Game Awards a couple weeks back, a month back probably, they added that in. It's just fun. Cosmetics, and I got to mention earlier, not a play to win. So it's just fun to jump on, play a game here, play a game there. So that ends our list. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to check out our 2018 most anticipated games, which will be coming out shortly after this video is posted. So thanks for watching, and see you guys later.